All right, we're going to get started. I'm Sadie Howell, the president here at Envision Greater Fond du Lac. Thank you all for being here today. Continue to keep eating while the presentation is going on. We are recording this so that we can share it later for those who couldn't be here. And if there are any Envision specific questions, I'll be here to answer those. Happy to do that. I'm going to turn it over to Abby and Kathrine, who are here from MakeMyMove. Also in the back of the room is Scott. We can thank and blame Scott for bringing MakeMyMove to Fond du Lac County. Scott and I had actually been talking for about a year. He had reached out to us because of our worker relocation incentive program and wanted to learn how that was going, and I said it wasn't going great. We really had high hopes for it. We had hoped that we would spend about $300,000, and we didn't. And he said, you know, you have all of the tools there already. Everything that we tell communities to do, you did it. What you were missing is the marketing and the advertising arm. So fast forward is when the state legislature put $5 million into a grant through the WEDC, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. We applied for that grant to partner with MakeMyMove, and we received $346,000 from the grant. Envision's board of directors is matching a little over $100,000 to supplement, and then with our local employers that are part of the experience packages at about $80,000. This is a $500,000 national talent attraction campaign. So we are incredibly proud of the work that we have put into this. We have literally been working 6 to 9 months on putting this together before it ever even rolled out. So we're very excited for you all to hear directly from MakeMyMove. Thank you, Sadie.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for taking your lunch hour to be here with us today. It's been truly wonderful to be in Fond du Lac. We've been here for a couple days now, and we went to Theo's last night. We had a lot of the coffee shops. Natalia took us around this morning and showed us Lakeside Park, and just, yeah, your community is so beautiful, and there's so many things that we're just excited to continue to show off, and it's great to be able to actually be here in person now and get to see it and take it all in. So yeah, as Sadie mentioned, my name's Abby Chapman. I'm the Enterprise Client Success Manager at MakeMyMove. So my role is really just to make sure that this program is a success for your community, for the Envision team. So I work very closely with Natalia and her role primarily as the program owner, as she's doing kind of interactions. But yeah, very, very excited. Today we're going to be kind of we'll give you an overview of like who MakeMyMove is, what we do, how we kind of go about it, but we're also going to primarily spend the time really hitting on like how employers can utilize this as a really helpful tool for you. And so I know we have many different employers in the room represented, and so I want to make sure that we're able to really kind of give you a sense of that. You've got some resources at your table. Some of those are, I'll kind of give you an overview real quick of what those are. One of them, the one that's stapled, that's kind of a resource for you. So it's going to kind of summarize a little bit about what we're about to show you in the presentation. All of this, by the way, will be available virtually. So if you want like a virtual copies of these things, Natalia will have all of that, and we can send it out after the meeting today. There's also a one-sheeter in there. That is an example of something that if you are a hiring manager, that you could actually hand to applicants who are in the interview process and encourage them to apply to the MakeMyMove program. We'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like, but I just want to give you, and we'll make sure you definitely have a virtual copy of that. Because you might be interviewing people virtually, all of that, so we want you to be able to send it to applicants. And then lastly, there's a little contact sheet you'll notice at your spots. And so at the end, if you want to get to talk to us more, if you want to learn more, if you have more questions, whatever that might look like, so we can learn more about you, your hiring needs, we'll have your contact info so we can get in touch. But yeah, before I kind of jump into anything, I want to let my two other colleagues introduce themselves. So Kathrine, do you want to?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thank you for having us. My name is Kathrine Wolgemuth. I am the Director of Client Success at MakeMyMove, and love days like this where we get to be in person with the stakeholders in the community and learn more about it. So we're excited to talk more about what we have on the agenda today. And yeah, Scott, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, thanks for coming out. I'm Scott McCauley, an executive with MakeMyMove, and very excited to be here today. This is the second time that I've been able to visit the community, and we're excited for the state opening up this talent attraction opportunity, and that Sadie and Envision and the community was looking forward to this and jumping on board. So thank you so much for the time.
I would go around and have all of you share your names, but we've got a really great group here today, which is awesome. So one thing I will say is you are more than welcome to ask questions throughout. You can interrupt, you can ask questions, please do. We want this to be able to be interactive, so don't hesitate to do so, and we'll also have some time at the end, of course. Well, Sadie covered this really well, so I won't go too much more into this, but as she mentioned, Envision and the WEDC partnered together to be able to start this campaign to bring new talent to the region. The goal of this program is that we are trying to bring 32 households, and this within those households, some really talented workers and their families to Fond du Lac County to live and be here and be a part of the community. And so at MakeMyMove, obviously, yes, we love to be able to show we show a lot of economic development, ROI data. We really kind of get into the numbers, but also really ultimately what it's about is community, bringing people to places where they can connect, grow, start their families, get their kids connected into the school systems, get people connected to new jobs where they feel really fulfilled. And so that's a really important piece of the puzzle. So sort of how we go about this, that's a little bit different, because you've probably heard before about other relocation type programs or even employer incentive programs to get people to come and take roles. What's a little bit different about MakeMyMove and why we've kind of seen so much success for our program is that we start by selling the community first, rather than trying to sell people, okay, here's the job, here's the job, please come here. And instead they're saying, we already know, they're like, we want to come to Fond du Lac. Now we just have to find a job or bring my job with me, one of those two types. So, we're really able to get people kind of bought in more initially, because that's what when you look at our site and you look at our marketplace, we're really able to show people a great sense of who is this community? What kinds of unique assets does this community have? Are you an outdoors person? Do you love being outdoors? Well, this community has great outdoor assets, or this community has a great volunteer opportunities here where you can get plugged in and be on a board, and if that's what something is really important to you. So we really start there. So applicants who are on our site are essentially looking by community and searching by what they're looking for. And then we work with amazing communities like Fond du Lac, who work really hard to put together these really cool incentive programs. And you through the WEDC, of course, part of that grant funding allows for there to be a cash stipend, so that movers, moving is very expensive. Moving your family across the country, sometimes it's a pricey thing, as some of you may know. And so, it's really nice to be able to offer movers a little bit of a cash incentive. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's really not just the cash, it's the other parts of the package that we really encourage our local communities that we work with to create a package that really connects people in. And I will say, maybe I'm biased because obviously Fond du Lac's my client, but I think they have maybe the best, you guys have the best incentive package on our site. Natalia and her team have worked really hard to put incentives in there that allow, when someone gets here and they might not know anyone, to go to local events, to get connected in, to volunteer, to go to local businesses and spend their money there. And so that is a really big deal, because that's what really, really helps with getting people connected, making them feel at home here, making them feel welcome. So that's kind of where the relocation programming incentive piece comes in, is they're going to get that household's going to get that incentive package. We also, through that whole process, we might touch on this a little bit, but our team does a lot of the qualification, eligibility verification, all of that. so that Natalia and her team can really focus on just answering those local questions. What are the local schools like? What, are there sports teams I can get my kids connected into? What's this employer like? Those kinds of things. She can really focus her time and energy on answering those questions, and then we handle all the logistics and all those things with the verification. And then sort of the last piece of it is, really helping, again, where Natalia is going to be very helpful and will already has been, is helping get people connected to employers, helping them find their homes. So, people have to obviously, if they're looking to buy a house or rent, they need to, especially if they're not from here, they need help kind of knowing what's the different neighborhoods, what are the different communities within the county, what are my options, and then ultimately connecting with neighbors, so getting them connected with people the moment they get into town. And so they're, especially with employers, it's really helpful to have that connection point if you're not from here. And we're going to get into a little bit more how you all as employers or otherwise, if you're just a community member or whether you're a realtor or local volunteer, how you can help kind of be a connector point as well. Did I miss anything with that, Kathrine? No. Okay. All right, so kind of what we'll go through pretty quickly here, and then we'll kind of get into more of the nitty gritty, is Kathrine will kind of quickly cover who are we, what is Make My Move, kind of high level, how does this work, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit more specifically about the campaign and some of the goals and work that we're doing with Fond du Lac County, how it works for employers, how you can utilize this as a really helpful tool and also help meet the goal, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we need next steps from you and what you can expect from us as well.
Great, thanks Abby. So we want to take a step back here slightly and talk briefly about what is Make My Move. We talked about the grant that Envision got from the state and what ultimately we're commissioned to do with that grant, but who are we? So we are at our core a marketplace. We help communities attract talent, workers, and economic impact. So the two sides of that marketplace really are people looking to make a move and the communities, the towns, the states attracting those relocations. There are between 7 and 8 million people that move across state lines every year. And about 1 million of those people come to Make My Move trying to decide where they want that move to be. And we, since 2021, have helped relocate 4,000 households. And so we're turning those households, our goal is to turn all this interest and traffic to Make My Move into new neighbors for Fond du Lac County. How exactly do we bring that 1 million out of the 7 to 8 million that cross state lines to our site, to our marketplace, and how do they ultimately find Fond du Lac County? Abby mentioned the community storytelling. That is really the base of all of the work that we do here. We sell the place first. So anyone that is applied to Fond du Lac, they are interested in moving to that community, to that county. And then we connect them to all the local ambassadors from there. So Abby mentioned the housing contacts, school contacts, employers. We sell the place first. So we know we can check that box. These people are interested in moving to Fond du Lac County. And how do we ultimately bring those people to our site to find Fond du Lac County? There's a variety of ways. Targeted marketing, we work closely with universities in our partner communities to access their alumni bases and invite those graduated out-of-state alumni to come back. Awareness and discovery broadly, word of mouth is really successful. There's no call to action quite so powerful as the parent asking their kid to come back that may have moved away from the state. But going back to the targeted marketing piece here for a second, we have invested a lot in learning about where these personas, the nooks and crannies that they live in online. So for remote workers, for example, again, this program is to relocate remote workers and job seekers, but using a remote worker example, we know that they love to travel and they spend time on Expedia and Kayak. So we'll strategically place ads in those places so that the right people are finding the ad and making their way to Make My Move. and eventually to Fond du Lac County. One of the things we're working with Natalia on is partnering with the universities in the area, as I mentioned before, to access their alumni base and invite those people to come back. So those are just a couple examples of how we're putting Make My Move out there broadly and calling these people to the site and introducing them to our wonderful community partners, Fond du Lac County specifically. So what do we do once they have applied to Fond du Lac County, which I'll mention. So our goal is 32 households. 1,700 people have applied so far to move to Fond du Lac County. Not all of those people qualify. Obviously, there's a lot of steps to ensuring that they meet the eligibility criteria. There's some requirements specifically from the state, like they have to be relocating from outside of Wisconsin, and a couple other items. But these 1,700 people, they've found Fond du Lac County through Make My Move. They've applied. This is what we call a microsite. You're on the left side here, you can see a screenshot, one small portion of the microsite that we've built for the county. This is essentially the virtual welcome mat for your community on Make My Move. This is where we pull in a lot of those storytelling components that we've mentioned earlier, and capture the uniqueness of a place through pictures, videos, awards, press, capturing the people, places, and stories that make a place unique. Eventually somebody will apply and they get funneled into what we call our quick apply application process. So it's pretty quick to fill out, but there's a lot of rich applicant information that we collect from household breakdown, income, all sorts of employment information. Where do you work currently? Share your resume. What kind of experience do you have? A lot of rich data that then we collaborate with our partners in Envision to help funnel that talent in the right places, which is what we want to talk to you all about. And then converting that into new neighbors. So really the epicenter of all of this recruitment work is what we call the Mover Studio. This is where Natalia and her team spend a good amount of time, but all of these people that are applying to the county and all their rich profile data is all stored in the Mover Studio, and this is where a lot of that qualification activity happens. So we are verifying that they are currently outside of the state, what their income is, if they've secured a local job here, if they found housing. Everybody has to pass a 4-part background check. There's like a lot of layers of qualification in order to ultimately qualify for this program, and get to the point where we're connecting them with local employers, and so forth. One, Abby included, this is about as small font as you can get for the folks in the room, but
we will be sending this virtually too, so you'll have these slides.
In our application process, there's a question about what appeals to you about this area? Why are you applying? And some people will put simple answers. I want different weather. I miss the seasons, or lower cost of living. But this person put something that really was special. There's a paragraph here that I won't read, but they said, more than anything, we're looking for a place where we can get involved, make meaningful connections, raise our family, and become part of the community for years to come. We aren't just looking for a new place to live, we're looking for a place to belong. Which is why we hit so hard on the storytelling piece, and we've worked with Natalia and team that this relocation, obviously attraction is a big part of it, but the other piece is retention. We want people to move and stay and invest in the community and put roots down into the community, and a lot of these applicants want the same thing. So they're looking for a place to call home and root, and a lot of them are seeing that in Fond du Lac County, which we're excited about. I'll share this and then we'll maybe pause for a second and see if there's any questions so far before we get into the specifics of this community's program. So we put this on here to give a sense of scale, but also to be sure to hit home the point that we are results driven. Yes, 1,700 applicants is great, and exposure is good, but ultimately we are optimized for relocations. That is what we are focused on. The end goal here is 32 households that relocate to the county and put down their roots. There's a lot that happens between where we're at now, just having launched, and the folks actually showing up, boots on the ground, and that's what we're in the throes of right now, which is the fun part, I think. I think Natalia would say so too, just talked to me. But we're excited about the 32 households to Fond du Lac being a part of that 4,000 folks relocated. I'll pause there. Any questions so far about us or generally how it works? Okay.
And as it continues to settle, as questions come up, feel free to ask, but also know that I think our contact info is definitely on some of these. You'll have, any of you are always welcome to email any of us. Like, we are available to you. And so just know that if more questions come up as even after this meeting today, we'll be available. Okay, so what are we doing in Fond du Lac County and with Envision? So as Kathrine mentioned, I mean, we've already been going and we've had pretty amazing momentum already, which is super exciting for having really just launched the program. And so what does that mean exactly now that we've kind of gotten started? So we've created what we call those microsites that Kathrine mentioned. That means that like all of the program pages, which is where people can either remote workers or job seekers can get on and actually apply, as well as the community page, which features things like employer highlights. And so you'll see like on this screenshot right here, a little like bite-sized nugget of like we try to feature employers and different opportunities for people to kind of start understanding what's the employer landscape in the area. Where should I start looking depending on like obviously my industry that I work in. And so we also kind of do, we kind of break down each community in the county as well. We give people a sense of like, you know, Ripon, did I say that right? Ripon and Ripon. Amazing, okay. Well, it's funny because apparently yesterday I accidentally said Ripon. So I apologize for my Hoosierness. I'm trying to learn the Wisconsin way. But yes.
They're both suburbs of Brandon anyway.
Okay. Yes, so we try to give people a sense too of like what are all the different options. You've got a lot of different options of where you can move in Fond du Lac County, obviously. So we want to give them a sense of that as well. And then, obviously we break down kind of about the program itself, the employment content. We kind of we have an employment guide as well that kind of just, again, gives them more information about what's the landscape looking like. And then the kind of tools and workflow implementation, which is sort of what we mentioned earlier with Natalia in our mover recruitment studio. She's in there every day as people are applying, as they're asking questions. We've got an automated workflow that's kind of going on consistently where she's able to get in there, add notes. Our team's updating her, she's updating our team, and that's really like as people are progressing through the pipeline, we're able to stay connected at a consistent rate. So Kathrine mentioned some eligibility requirements, and so for this program, just so you all kind of know, especially if you're employers who might be hiring, the people that are eligible for this with the WDC standards is that they do have to be from outside of Wisconsin, and so they don't want to be taking talent from other Wisconsin communities. That's not really helpful. It's good to bring new people into the state, and so there's that piece of it. We expect people to relocate within 6 months of accepting a program seat. And so if they end up, something happens, you know, sometimes stuff happens, they're like, oh, I have to extend it. We'll have them basically apply and go through eligibility again if they have to push back their move for some reason. That way we can open up that seat to somebody who's more ready in the near term. And so we look for active intent. We don't do any like, well, maybe someday we'll get this, as Kathrine said, like, we're pretty results driven. We like get households moved. And so like that's pretty important to us and kind of the progressing piece of it. Obviously we work with people, but there has to be kind of a consistent pace. And then they do have to commit to be here for like at least a year. And so a part of even that, like the cash incentive, for example, that they'll get through the grant and everything is that they only get half up front and then they get the other half at the end of their first year. And so retention, we have I think 98%.
Our retention rate across the site is 90% annually for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And then if they've stayed for 4 years, they are there after that point. If they made it 4 years, then they're there.
Yeah, so retention is a really big piece of it. Again, like I said, we don't want people to leave after a year. Obviously, neither do you all. And so, especially if they're taking a job at your a company. So that's a really big piece of it as well. Natalia will be doing a lot of like mover connection stuff. We do a lot of like outreach to them as well to make sure they're settling in well. So there's a lot of pieces that come into that. But they're expected to be here for at least a year. And then on the employment for people who are job seekers, they have to secure that full-time employment in Fond du Lac County. There is an income requirement, a household income requirement. So their household has to be at least making 55,000. Typically, like if it's a single household, their job they secure will have to be making at least 55,000. If it is a more than one adult in a household, then if they, let's say, took a job in the area that made 45,000 or made 40,000, but their spouse or partner, whoever, is making, an additional, however much ever, and they're over that 55K, then they would be eligible. That's also a piece of that employment is we're doing income verification and job verification. So Kathrine kind of mentioned this, but we've already seen some really, really great momentum with your program. And Natalia can attest to that. She's been busy doing a lot of, answering a lot of questions, connecting a lot of resumes, reviewing resumes, all of that. But we've had 3,713 people that have showed us some kind of intent with relocation to Fond du Lac. So that is around 1,700 of those 3,000-ish have applied, applied, and then the others have liked or saved the program on our site, meaning they saved it to their profile to kind of be like, I might be interested, and we do outreach to them as well to continue to keep them in the interest funnel. So really, those are amazing numbers for the fact that we just got started, and we're super excited about that. From those 3,713 people, all 50 states are represented, which is pretty amazing. Obviously, some of those, if they're from Wisconsin, for example, would not be eligible, as I mentioned. But some of the other states, that's pretty cool that all 50 are represented in the amount of people that have showed interest in Fond du Lac. 543 of those are dual income households. So as I mentioned, that's always great. We do a lot of annual economic impacts data through a data set called IMPLAN, and so that's kind of how we show the impact economically of these households relocating. So it's always really exciting when we see dual income households, obviously. And then there's also currently 12 military veterans who are in the pipeline. So I know some employers like to do like to be able to do some different veteran programming, things like that. So if that's of interest to you, we also have some of those in the pipeline as well.
Yeah. From the mover experience, I'm kind of trying to wrap my brain around what that looks like.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at home and I'm thinking, I might be interested in Fond du Lac.
Yeah.
Is there any statistic that says how many other communities have expressed interest in?
Yeah, we can see essentially from on our end anyways, we can see how many other ones they've liked or if they've applied to multiple programs. One thing that is really helpful in our process is that if they can apply to multiple programs, but they cannot accept more than one offer. So what we call the later stages of our pipeline, so once they've gotten the offers from the community and if they've accepted an offer and they've accepted a seat in your program, they cannot do that for multiple programs. So those are the people we really like. Those are our highest intent. They've told us we're looking for housing, I've secured a job. But yeah, we can see on their profiles if they've showed. I don't know off the top of my head, if I can say how many look at multiple communities or anything.
It's on average, our applicants apply to 1.7 programs.
Okay.
So there are people submitting multiple applications, but not a ton because they're often doing some prerequisite research before they will actually apply, which is why we get answers in that what appeals to you question that are a bit more thought out. I've done my research, I'm interested in this place, and now I applied.
I just didn't know if there was anything from the community standpoint to really hone in on those that are solely interested versus not, or maybe it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that's a great, one of the things we do try to do of people who are in the, Natalia and I talk about this a lot, is we try to look at what we consider those higher intent movers. And so the way we look at that with a few different pieces, but those application descriptions really help. If we see someone who says, for example, oh, I actually grew up in Fond du Lac County and I've moved away for many years, I've been living in New York City and I want to come back home again. That to us is a pretty high intent mover. They have maybe family in the area, they want to come back, they're a boomerang. So that would be someone for Natalia, for example. I'd be like, Natalia, this is a good person to reach out to, make a connection with, versus someone who's not reaching out at all with any questions Maybe they gave a really, on their application, they can say how interested they are in moving. If they put like a 1 out of 5 in interest, then it's like, okay, that there might be other people we'd rather her spend her time, you know, doing some outreach to. So that's kind of how we like balance that a little bit. But yeah, great point for sure.
Yeah, we have a move probability model that applies to all the applicants. So Natalia can sort her mover studio and see who in here right now would be the most likely to move based on data points on their profile. So how interested are they? Do I have a prior connection, income, household size? All of that tabulates into their likelihood of relocating.
Have I already applied to a local job? Like, you know, 'cause they'll start applying pretty much as soon as they get into the pipeline. So that also helps us know if they're pretty interested or, you know. Good questions. Okay, so where are some of these people coming from? I mentioned, you know, we've got a pretty wide range of people. We've got quite a few people, as you can see, from Illinois. So we've got what we call Midwest core. You know, there's definitely quite a few people in the nearby states that are interested. We've got a little bit of Michigan too, some Minnesota, but we also have some like coastal places as well, which I think is always great. You'll find often in this kind of like, as at least we've found, is like you'll hear a lot, you know, those places that have an extremely high cost of living. You know, I was just in a community, one of my other communities last week there for a mover event. They have an annual event where they invite all their movers to come and connect in more with the community. And one of the movers for them was from New York City, and they where I was at was in Texas. My client was in Texas, and she was saying how, you know, her daughter has special needs, and she's like, in New York City we just couldn't get the care and the like focus that we needed, and we moved to Texarkana, and we now like have like, she's like, the school system is so amazing. She's like, I can't believe I have so much room to breathe here, like you know, like all that stuff. So like we have quite a few people who express that to us, from especially some of those more like, you know, California, New York, those higher metro areas, high cost metros. And so, yeah, you guys have got a great swath of different places of people who are interested from moving from those places, which is exciting.
The states that we relocate people from the most are Texas, California, and Florida. So you see those in your top 3. Often they're saying they're interested in better weather.
Yeah.
Applying to...
They want seasons.
Yeah.
They don't want to always be in just warm weather. So yeah, we grabbed some of the responses of like, you might be like, why do some of these people want to move to Fond du Lac? Like, what is appealing? Like, you know, obviously you love your community, or I hope you love your community because it's amazing, but like, what is kind of appealing to some other people? And so some of the ones that definitely stood out was, you know, a fresh start in your family, like I mentioned earlier, having that in like community, jobs and opportunity. I mean, I've already gotten to, you know, yesterday we got to meet some other employers. Envision's kind of filled me in on some of the amazing employers landscape you have here in the community. So having just a job opportunity, I think that's a really big piece of it for a lot of people. You know, one that's really cool is like community and values. They want to be a part of a community where they can actually get involved and do something. It's hard to obviously do that, especially if you're in a big city or somewhere really high metros, to really feel like they're involved in making a difference. Slower pace of life. You guys have obviously amazing nature and outdoors. And then of course cost of living and you know, opportunities for different kinds of housing. Natalia took us around this morning to some of the great housing options you have in the area. And so I think, I mean, everywhere obviously there's always, you know, need for more housing, but that's the other great piece of our role, is we can take data and help also show like the need for housing. You've got all these people that want to move here, you know, and if we want to bring more housing to the community, we can use this too as a tool for that. All right, so some information that might be interesting to different employers in the room is we've kind of, and some of this info is also in that talent pack stapled resource I have on the table, but we've kind of broken down just to show you, I won't go too in depth in all of this, but just so you can kind of visually see the different talent pools that we already have in the pipeline and who showed interest in moving to the community. And so for example, if you are a healthcare organization or a hospital or whatever that might be, you know, if you look here, you've actually got a cardiologist who's interested in moving to Fond du Lac. Don't know if you guys need a cardiologist, but you've got one who's interested. You've got a nurse practitioner.
Take 4.
We'll take 4.
Okay, okay, great.
Coming right
we'll
up.
work on that. I'm sure he knows some other cardiologists out there. But yeah, you've got, speech language pathologists, paramedics, so some people in the healthcare industry who are already interested and would be looking to get connected to a role in the area. So that's 221. Kathrine, jump in if I'm missing anything, but.
One thing I'll mention, there's a lot of industries reflected in the pipeline. I mean, we mentioned 1,700 applicants and 30,000 some odd broader interest pool. We just are highlighting 5 key industries today: advanced manufacturing, education, healthcare, skilled trades. But if you have an open role and you don't see it, we probably have at least somebody in the pipeline that would be fit that. So that's part of what we'll be getting to here momentarily about how can we actually connect with each of you and work together. But we wanted to give you a little sample of the types of talent in some core industries that have expressed interest.
Yep. Yeah, so advanced manufacturing, so engineers, plant leaders, all of that. We've got like a director of manufacturing who's currently in the pipeline looking for a position. So different, and an aerospace welder, which was very interesting. So yeah, some really different kinds of roles in that industry. Education, I know we've got some really great universities in the area. We mentioned this earlier, but we're learning more and more how much like universities play a big role in the work we do with communities. Yes, on the employment side, because obviously universities are sometimes hiring in professors from out of state, from other schools or other staff. But also for the alumni engagement piece of it, so being able to also tell alumni about this program, or even recent graduates who are moving back home but might be interested in taking a job back in Fond du Lac. And so yeah, education is a really big piece of the puzzle. You'll see here there's special education teacher. I know someone mentioned yesterday that's a high need here, I think, and we've got some recruiters, coaches. So yeah, some really great education. 87 people so far that are interested in that. And also keep in mind that if these people are coming with a spouse, typically their spouses are also looking for jobs. Usually, sometimes obviously not, but or they might have their spouse might have a remote job or something. But they're also sometimes looking for positions as well. So even Natalia will kind of be aware of that too if they're asking, hey, maybe I have a remote job, but like my spouse is a teacher and I really want to get them connected in, something like that. We can she can help make those connections as well. Construction and skilled trades is a really one that we've seen some interest in your pipeline. So 98 out-of-state candidates who have that background. So electricians, millwright, automation technicians, some really great. I know there's always usually a need for some of those skilled trade folks to fill positions. So that's a big one as well. Transportation and logistics. So this is 338 folks, which is quite a few. So, operations manager, forklift operator, CDL drivers. We get quite a few of those as well who are interested in finding positions. So if that's one of your industries, know that you've got a large group of people who have shown interest in that. And we've got some great folks. And you'll notice that on this, these have kind of these ID numbers. We obviously don't share people's information publicly in public presentations, but Natalia can make the connection with your HR hiring people if there's somebody who's reaching out and a lot of them are sharing their resumes, things like that. So she can help kind of make that connection, and you'll get to learn more about them one-on-one with her as well. Okay, I'll pause there for a second. Questions on kind of how things are going so far in Fond du Lac, or any of those employment types?
Just a question I don't recall, for example, at Marine Park Technical College, we have been recognized nationally and statewide for our service to our military employees and our students. And so that slide that had 12 military veterans, how are those candidates able to see the profile of the employers in our
Yeah, it's a great question. So as I might have mentioned this earlier on the what we call the community page of our marketplace. There's a few different sections that people can learn about the community. One of them is a pretty large employer section, and so that's where Envision's been able to kind of give us information about some of your organizations and companies, and we can do highlights of who is this organization? What do they offer? What's some of those things? That's really where, though, we'll also lean on you all today. I put that contact sheet. If you're like, I really want to like make sure these things are noted to the people in our pipeline, we want to know that stuff so we can help share that better to them. Let's get in contact. We can meet. I can learn a little bit more. Definitely on there. And then also, once they're actually in the pipeline, they're receiving, if they're particularly a job seeker, they're receiving pretty consistent emails from us and Natalia, giving them those employment resources, but she's also able to look at the resumes and kind of, make the connection and start telling them more about some of those things. Yes, like that actually is a great point for any of you if you're like, I really want to make sure that like these things are kind of noted about us, and whether Natalia's talking to them on our site, kind of on the public facing side of it, please let us know because that is great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Age demographics of the 1700, is there a range or maybe an average median?
Yeah, right now I think when we looked yesterday it was around 34 to 35. I think, what was the percentage of those that were like coming with families?
Yeah, 43% would be relocating with children. An average household size is 2.5 right now in your pipeline, which is bigger than our site average. On average, people that relocate through MakeMyMove, the household size is 2.3. So I know when we talked to the Envision group, there was an emphasis on we'd love to bring more families, which we're seeing that so far. The average household size that's applying here is larger than average.
As a secondary tool to sort of attract folks to the community, focusing on broader than specific approach. The Visitors Bureau, I happen to run the Visitors Bureau. We have a site that is a great way to sell regions.
Yes.
And I read the copy by Fond du Lac. It's good copy, but for folks who want to drill down a little bit more, Visitors Bureau in any community is a great resource.
Yes.
We try to present ourselves as front door when we get onto the building. We are marketing something, we're marketing our region theoretically to visitors, but newcomers, it's great information.
Yes.
And we're close to conditions, so Natalia knows who we are.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know where you come in contact with individuals, but
yeah.
it's a great way to say, hey, if you want to learn a little more about festivals, shopping, entertainment, visitors bureau site is a great place.
Perfect. Yeah. No, that's great. Like that might be something. I don't know. I definitely probably have like used some stuff when you guys gave me stuff for the pages from maybe some of your guys' stuff. But also I think that like, we can put that in more of our, as we're talking to the movers, have that kind of linked to more places so that they can have another resource to go learn. So that's great. We can talk more about that, Natalia, for sure. Yep.
In looking at the incentive packages, it's obviously very location specific. How competitive are they?
Like across the marketplace? We see big, like value-wise, are you talking about?
Yeah.
How competitive is this specific program?
Do they just completely vary?
They do really vary. We typically recommend that our partners offer at least $5,000 in cash. That's usually where people land. People aren't up and moving their entire lives for $5,000, but it does help ease the expense of relocating. So the cash is fairly consistent across the marketplace with some variation, but it really gets unique with the non-monetary pieces. I mean, there's like you're gonna have to get like a picnic on a bison farm is part of the package here.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of cool stuff.
Like the dock spiders, like that's really where we get into the uniqueness of each place. And Natalia and the team have done a really great job of The package is not just tickets and coupons, it's opportunities to plug in and meet the movers and shakers and be part of the young professionals. And that's the goal, is we want it to be an on-ramp into the community. And that's always, the cash is fairly standard, but anything outside of that gets pretty unique. Value-wise, we see big jumps in click rate and application rate when we cross like a $7,000 value threshold. So we encourage our communities to hit like at least that in order to stay competitive, but that varies as well. That answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
One more question, kind of category process. As I understand it, the grant comes from state. Envision hires you all to sort of administer or execute.
Yeah.
And so I think some or many other communities in Wisconsin are getting the same grant. Are you working for them as well?
No, just
And
you all.
I don't know if that's a fair question.
No, that's okay. I mean, we'll always be open about who we're working with. Yeah, Fond du Lac is the only one we're currently working with. But yeah, there are several other Wisconsin communities that got the grant and are doing kind of things in their own process. So yeah, but yeah.
That's really cool. I think that this is the game changer. Having you guys, I have no connection to you. It seems like having you guys help us so scale it and execute it.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
That's exactly like a big part of what we do is like, and Natalia can probably again speak to this, is like even with like we've got this amazing team on our staff called the Mover Support Team, and they do all of the logistics with the applicants. It's doing all the verification. It's a lot of logistics to get through. Like Kathrine was saying, a lot of steps to actually get them settled in a home here in Fond du Lac in a job. And so what we don't want is like, most communities, like they don't have the capacity to do all of that. It's a lot of verification work. It's a lot, the marketing piece is a lot. And so we like to take that off so that then you guys can just do the fun part, which is welcoming people to the community, getting them settled here once they're here and all of that. So yeah, definitely that is a big part of our goal. And we're glad to be working with you guys, but.
Great.
Okay.
What is the anticipated timeline to kind of like from the application process through the actual move?
Yeah. On average, from the time somebody applies to the program to when they secure housing, it's about 90 days. And securing housing is just they signed a lease or they have a purchase agreement, but they might not actually be here yet. There's time to close, but usually from application to securing housing is 90 days on average.
The job seekers, so as you can imagine, like if it's a remote worker, they have a little easier job. I mean, now if they have someone else in the house who needs a job, that might take a little bit longer, but like generally they have a little bit more ease of ability to move because their job is remote. But for the job seekers, which are 75% of your current pipeline, so you've got most of the people who have applied to your program are looking for local jobs. That is a little bit of a longer process. Obviously, as you can imagine, they're going through the interview process. They're, having to, apply for a lot of different jobs, all of that. So I think we're still, 90 days, 90 days is still kind of the average. But sometimes, those can obviously can take a little bit more at the front end, at least for them to secure that position. Which this will kind of get into a little bit how you all can help also with that process, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks, if that clock's right, which I'm assuming it is, we have about 10 minutes left. So landing the plane on how we would love to work with you all. Who will do what? We've hit this home a couple times. I think there's really 3 key players here, the state and Envision. They're funding the program, putting together the package. Natalia is really the local champion here, talking to all of the people considering this place. We bring to the table the marketing know-how, the platform, collecting all of the interest and all of the verification work. The third piece is the employers. A lot of you in the room, and what we'd love from you to partner together is really what you already do. We're not asking you to change your process or do anything. We want to plug this engine of interest into what you're already doing. So we'd love to know, what are your employment opportunities? What hurdles do you face when you're hiring? Can us and Natalia help you overcome some of those? Help people find housing, so you just run your hiring play and we answer all the kind of community support questions. So the employment opportunities here, what you can expect. We hit on this really, like exposure on our site, quality leads, folks that eventually make their way into your pipeline have gone through thorough verification steps with our team, so that you're getting really the cream of the crop folks that are actually interested in moving and have relevant experience to your roles, access to the programming that Envision has, and then the mover incentives, the program incentives, which I don't know. Did you want to add anything about that? Okay. All right, so use case wise, there's really like two primary ways in which employers can leverage this program. The first one we've hit on most, which is reaching out of region talent. So we have this nationwide marketplace of talent that comes, again, people looking to relocate, and we want to create for each employer in this room a feature for you on the Fond du Lac County microsite that says all the things about what it's like to work for you, the emphasis on veterans, all the things that make your company great, and link directly to your hiring process. We have all sorts of tracking codes that we'll include in those links, so that you can see what kind of traffic is coming from our site into your pipelines. But we'll feature you on MakeMyMove and channel this national interest directly into your pipelines for you to run your play. And then feedback loop back to Natalia if you're talking to somebody that came from MakeMyMove and they've also applied there, so that we can ensure they get the benefits through the Envision MakeMyMove program. The second use case is, okay, 30 seconds. So what's important is, obviously, we would need you to be open to accepting out-of-state applicants and collaborate closely with us and Natalia. People will move to the places that they feel wanted, and that's our role, make people feel wanted here. So what we would like to do going forward, or coming out of here, is you each have a contact slip at your seat. We would love to schedule a quick 30-minute intake with the employers in the room to learn about what are your hiring priorities, what hurdles do you face in hiring currently, who can we collaborate within your organization to understand sort of your evolving needs, and who can Natalia work with to connect talent directly. So we'll be in the meeting, she'll be in the meeting, but just 30 minutes to learn a little bit more about you, so we can build out your employer feature and start handing talent your way. That's what we'd love to do. So if you fill out the contact slip, we'll collect them all, and then we'll be in touch within the next week and schedule that 30 minutes. Hopefully that was, yeah.
Okay, I made some notes. I wanted to just add a couple more notes. So we are a member investor organization, and so in order to be part of this pipeline, you do need to be a member in good standing with Envision. That this is part of our value add. We were the ones who applied for the grant. We put a lot of emphasis. We're putting a program coordinator behind it. So appreciate everybody in the room today who is one of our member investors. In addition, we still do have the worker relocation incentive program. So we are going to actually be pushing most of these 32 to more of that organic reach that we normally wouldn't have. If you already have someone in your pipeline that you're looking to hire, we're going to direct you to the worker relocation incentive program, which is $15,000. And then after a year of employment, we reimburse you half of whatever you offered them. That program has been in existence for a few years. That was the one I talked about earlier that didn't have the impact that we were hoping. We purposefully kept that program running in coordination with MakeMyMove, because what MakeMyMove is good at is finding new people. So we really want MakeMyMove to focus on those new organic people, and then use the worker relo. Worker relo is run by Raina Lyman in our office. So if you have someone, and they don't necessarily have to be from outside the state of Wisconsin either. So continue to,
100 miles though.
They do have to be 100 miles away. We can be helpful in 100 miles. So that option is still very much available. Again, 32 people isn't going to solve our population decline, but doing several small things together can make a larger impact. There is another piece that we are beta testing right now. It's called the Talent Network. So all of these job seekers, 75%, and I was going to spew some numbers really quick, 75% of those who have applied for this program are seeking jobs. Natalia gets their resumes and then she uploads them into a password protected portal on our website that we're allowing probably just one HR representative from each employer to have access to all of those resumes. So if you have an HR person, please connect them with Natalia and she will give you the password to use it. We'll be launching that more widely next month because we wanted to make sure everything was working before we did that. Another is we are looking for a welcome crew. So when we have these people move here and when we need someone to take them golfing at South Hills or taking them to Walleye Weekend or going to maybe a Ripon Main Street Friday night, having a short list of folks that we can connect with would be very helpful. And then some of those other numbers, because we were really blown away yesterday, we have 4 people that have accepted
6
already.
now.
6?
Yeah, we got 2 more just yesterday.
Dang. 6 people that have already accepted and are moving. One of them is has an accepted job offer from Alliance Laundry Systems. One is a pastor at a local church. Another is in the final stages with a job offer from JFA Hearn. And the other is with a healthcare provider.
Yes, yeah.
So I don't know the other 2.
The other 2 we can.
Yeah, we can get that. I
Yeah.
don't think, we literally just found it out.
Yeah.
Because we were like, oh, okay, 2 more, great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Lots of
The
things.
pastor has already bought a house, and all of that. We launched this May 14th. So in about a month and a half, we have six now.
Yeah.
People moving. I know
think-
that 2 of them have families, and the wife is looking for a job at a school and deciding which school district for the children. So we are pumped and very, very excited about this program and what it can mean to the community. And our goal, and I'll put it out here today, our hope is that this is so successful that we have the 32 move and then we're coming back to either our municipal partners or our employers to say, with another $250,000 or $300,000, we could move another 30 or 40 people. So that's the goal. Yes. Any other questions?
Adam did mention that, no? Scott, I
I
have
do
new
have a
ideas
question.
to incentivize
Number
people to Ripon.
number of inquiries, do you ask if they're looking more for rent or buy?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So we know
What
they're
percentage is more skewed?
usually, I would say, renting tends to be at the beginning because some people, it's when they're moving from somewhere far away, they're like, I want to get a landscape of the community before we jump in. So I would say it tends to be that way, at least in their first year or first 6 months of being there. They're like, okay, maybe feel more comfortable renting. But we have quite a few people buy, so I don't know if you have more specific data on that. But.
Interest rates impact this,
Yeah.
lots of things impact this, but on average, 60 to 80% of movers are looking to rent in their first year. And then we often see them shifting to purchasing once they've learned the area.
But that is also why, Natalia's already been working at this, but, just having those housing connections, being able to give people a sense of what's going on and what's the housing availability if they are interested in buying, all of that. So we'll be working hard to make sure they have all those resources so they can know the landscape as best they can before they get here too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all.
Yeah,
thank you
Appreciate
so
being
much.
here
Thank you
today.
for having us.
Yeah, thank you.